We start with developments involving the former president, Jacob Zuma. He's accusing the National Prosecuting Authority of delaying his corruption case by refusing to remove Billy Downer as the lead prosecutor. Zuma says he's ready for the trial. Meanwhile, the state, the NPA, says Zuma's case against Downer has been weakened by the dismissal of his attempt to privately prosecute him. We cross now live to our reporter Karinda Jagmohan, who's been in the court for us. Karinda, good afternoon to you. What arguments there today?
Good afternoon. Well, a lengthy day with arguments being made. Now, unlike the last application that was heard before Judge Pitkun back in 2021, where Advocate Dali Mpofu on behalf of the former president argued over whether Advocate Billy Downer had the correct title to continue with prosecution, today Advocate Dali Mpofu is arguing that Advocate Billy Downer lacks independence, lacks impartiality, essentially focusing on the character of the prosecutor before court. He has touched on many aspects, including the current private prosecution, as well as the previous 2008 phone calls that Billy Downer had with journalist Sam Saul. To further unpack what happened in court today, I'm joined by Mr. Mpumelelo Zekalala, a legal analyst who spent the day with us. So thank you so much for your time today. I'm interested to know whether the argument over the phone call with Sam Sole, which was already discussed at court, ruled upon, still is valid today in this argument.
I think it would, because what it then points from the side of the former president is to say, look at the conduct of the prosecutor that you have and the person who's prosecuting me. Now take that and look at how the NPA Act prescribed the prosecutor and how they should act. Then there's a definite contravention, a possible contravention of the NPA Act. Do you then want someone who has contravened the Act to be able to prosecute me? And then the question would be, but that particular case against them has not been completed as yet. So you don't have a court order that says Advocate Billy Downer is indeed guilty of contravening the NPA Act. Now, that's weakening the point in which Advocate Mpofu would have had against him in terms of prosecuting the matter. But if you look at it, when all other things are considered, it may be actually count in favor of the former president in terms of saying, let's look at how a proper prosecutor ought to act. And the other counter-argument would be, that particular act was written for a specific reason. So when it comes to the evidence which is being used, when it comes to the manner in which you then do your prosecutions, we are not going to add any other information or coach witnesses as how to behave. That would have been maybe the intention of the legislature, and not to look at any other conduct that may be available and then attach it to the prosecutor. So, but it would depend on how the court will choose to look at it.
And we saw quite a heated conclusion, because when judgment was reserved, there was discussion about this private prosecution come November 1st. Now, it seems that Advocate Billy Downer, Karen Moore have requested not to appear in court, but Advocate Dali Mpofu argues that, well, every accused person must appear in court. What impact do you think this is going to have on the private prosecution?
Not necessarily, really. I think it's just one of those household or many things which we do within our courtrooms. Now, the heated arguments for a legal practice is something which we go through on a daily basis. So it's not something which was new according to us, but it did show the level of the importance when it comes to both parties. One party saying that, why should I even come to court if the matter is going to be decided anyway? And the other party saying, let's stick to the rules as they are. There's the NPA Act which is there, which I need to comply with. If I'm not there, my private prosecution then falls away. And let's apply the same standards as to anyone. If I as a prosecutor have to be here, why can't you as a person who is the accused, regardless of where you come from within the country? But I think the best thing would have been to do at that time what the judge has done now, to say, let me allow you to deal with those matters separately. If push comes to shove, the only thing that will happen on the 1st of November is that both parties will be here and the matter will be adjourned to another day in compliance and in line with what the Constitution and the NPA Act actually states.
Now, this is ultimately still the arms deal trial, because the accused have pleaded not guilty. But this matter is decades in the making. What impact does the continuous postponements have on the actual evidence, the witnesses that should be in court right now testifying?
Two things: quality and the quantity of the evidence from both sides. From the side of the state, they need to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. You need the evidence, all the evidence that you can have. From the side of the defense, in order to prove my innocence or to poke holes in what the state is going to throw at the former president, they need to be there to say, this is the evidence of the defenses that you're there. And the only manner in which you can be able to do that if you have witnesses which are going to testify on your behalf. Now, witnesses may end up passing away, evidence may end up being destroyed, thus weakening the whole case, and it's certainly something which does not work in any favor of the accused. But nonetheless, with that being said, another point which must be very important is that you must come to court with all levels being the same. So all your rights being protected, the fair trial in which you are expected that you are promised to by the Constitution being there. So you can't go to court simply for the saying, this matter has been going on for far too long, I want to get it over and done with, despite the fact that your rights are going to be infringed. So I think that's where the stance of the former president is coming from, to say, yes, I do want my day in court. Yes, I do all the proceedings to go through, but let's do it in a fair manner, in the same manner in which you as the prosecution are wanting your things to go, regardless of how frustrated you may be. So let's allow the process to be, and let the courts and let the court do that thing.
Well, we thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Mpumelelo Zikalala, legal analyst. And there you have it. Judgment has been reserved, meaning that a date will be decided upon when Judge Cili will hand down judgment in this matter. At the same time, come November 1st, we will be waiting to hear an update with regard to the private prosecution of Advocate Billy Downer, journalist Karen Moore, a number of litigation aspects around, ultimately, the arms deal trial, a decades-long case in the making against the former president.
Karinda Jagmohan, live from Pietermaritzburg. Thank you very much indeed. Do appreciate the update there. Well, of course, more analysis on that court case as we go through the afternoon and into the evening together.